palace did not announce a confrontation. There were no flashing headlines inside Buckingham Palace, no official statement accusing anyone of crossing a line. Yet behind the closed doors of the royal household, a quiet decision reportedly changed the conversation surrounding Prince William, Queen Camilla's family, and the future of the monarchy. What makes this story so unusual isn't simply the suggestion that William may have taken a firm stand. It's the claim that Princess Anne, the one royal known for avoiding public drama, may have privately supported the direction he chose. If that is true, then this is no longer just another royal rumour. It becomes a story about influence, succession, and the unseen conversations shaping the next generation of the crown. But before we go any further, remember that no official palace announcement has confirmed these reports, and where speculation is discussed, it should be treated as speculation rather than established fact. Still, the timing of these developments has left royal watchers asking one question that refuses to disappear. What exactly happened behind palace doors that has everyone talking? For years, Prince William has carefully built a public reputation based on stability rather than spectacle. Unlike moments that generate headlines through controversy, his approach has usually been measured, deliberate, and focused on preparing for the responsibilities that await him as the future king. That is precisely why recent discussions among royal commentators have attracted so much attention. The conversation is not centred on an emotional disagreement or a dramatic public exchange. Instead, it revolves around the possibility that William has quietly begun shaping the future working structure of the monarchy long before he formally inherits the throne. Royal observers have increasingly pointed toward a noticeable pattern. Over the past several months, William's public engagements have carried greater weight. His responsibilities have expanded. His meetings with charities, military organisations and Commonwealth representatives have become more frequent. None of these developments are unusual on their own. They fit naturally within his constitutional role, but when viewed together, many commentators believe they suggest something larger. They argue that the palace may already be preparing for a gradual transition of responsibilities, allowing William to play a more central role while maintaining continuity under King Charles. It is within that atmosphere of gradual change that another discussion has emerged. According to widespread public commentary circulating among royal followers, questions have been raised about how non-working members of the extended royal family may fit into the monarchy's long-term vision. These discussions have inevitably included members connected to Queen Camilla's family, particularly because public interest surrounding them has continued to grow over recent years. Importantly, there has been no official confirmation that any specific individual has been removed, restricted, or targeted in any formal capacity. However, the speculation itself has become a story because it reflects a broader question about where the institution may be heading. Those who closely follow royal affairs often point to one consistent principle that has shaped William's public outlook. Throughout his years as Prince of Wales, he has repeatedly emphasised the importance of maintaining a focused monarchy built around clearly defined working royals. Royal experts frequently describe this concept as a streamlined monarchy, an approach intended to balance tradition with modern public expectations. If that philosophy continues guiding future decisions, then discussions about roles, responsibilities, and public visibility become almost inevitable. This is where Princess Anne unexpectedly enters the conversation and rarely becomes the centre of palace speculation. She has earned respect across political lines and among royal supporters for one reason above all others: consistency. Year after year, she quietly carries out hundreds of engagements without seeking headlines. Because of that reputation, every report suggesting she has privately encouraged William's practical approach immediately attracts attention. There is no verified evidence confirming private conversations between them regarding these recent rumours. Yet commentators continue highlighting the fact that Anne has long represented discipline, duty, and institutional stability, the very qualities many observers associate with William's vision for the future. The possibility of Anne's quiet approval has therefore become symbolic rather than sensational. It represents the idea that experienced members of the royal family may value continuity over expansion, focusing less on personal relationships and more on protecting the institution for future generations. Whether that interpretation proves accurate remains impossible to verify without official confirmation. Still, the discussion itself reveals how closely every royal movement is now being examined. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla remains one of the most closely watched figures within the royal family. Every appearance she makes, every ceremony she attends, and every official photograph released by the palace becomes the subject of intense discussion across television panels, newspaper columns, and social media platforms. Because of that constant attention, even ordinary developments involving members of her wider family often generate extraordinary speculation. Some commentators argue that this reflects the public's fascination with how the monarchy balances personal family relationships with constitutional responsibilities. Others believe it simply demonstrates that every change inside the institution now carries greater symbolic meaning than ever before. Yet perhaps the most interesting part of this entire story is not what has been reported, it is what has not been reported. Buckingham Palace has issued no statement confirming dramatic internal conflict. Kensington Palace has not announced any sweeping changes involving Queen Camilla's family. The silence itself has become part of the narrative. Royal followers know that the palace rarely responds to every rumour, preferring official announcements only when necessary. That leaves commentators, historians and the public carefully analysing every engagement, every seating arrangement, every schedule and every carefully chosen word released by palace communications. And if those quiet movements really are part of a much larger plan for the monarchy's future, then one question suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. Is Prince William simply preparing for responsibilities everyone already expected? Or has the first chapter of a much bigger transformation already begun without anyone realising it? The questions became even louder when royal commentators began looking beyond individual personalities and started examining the monarchy's long-term direction. Their attention shifted away from headlines and toward a much larger issue. If Prince William is preparing for the next chapter of royal leadership, what kind of institution does he actually want to inherit? That question may explain why every discussion about working royals, extended family members and future responsibilities now attracts extraordinary attention. Once again, no official palace announcement has confirmed that any drastic action has been taken against Queen Camilla's grandson or any member of her family. However, the speculation surrounding William's reported approach has become impossible for royal watchers to ignore because it appears to fit a broader pattern that has been developing over several years. Royal historians often point out that every generation of the monarchy eventually faces the same challenge. The institution must preserve centuries of tradition while adapting to the expectations of a modern public. King Charles himself spoke for years about a smaller and more focused monarchy, one in which official duties would primarily be carried out by senior working royals. Since becoming king, many observers believe that philosophy has gradually become more visible through the distribution of engagements and responsibilities. Prince William now appears to be stepping naturally into that evolving structure, leading many commentators to wonder whether he intends to continue the same direction when his own reign eventually begins. This is where discussions involving Queen Camilla's wider family have become particularly sensitive. Members of the royal family and relatives connected through marriage occupy very different constitutional positions. Royal experts frequently remind audiences that being related to the monarch does not automatically create an official public role. Throughout modern royal history, clear distinctions have usually existed between those who carry out constitutional duties on behalf of the crown and those who simply remain private family members. Because of that long-established principle, some commentators believe that William's reported vision for the future may involve maintaining those boundaries even more carefully. That interpretation has fueled widespread online theories. Some have suggested that William may be determined to ensure future public attention remains centred on those directly responsible for representing the crown. Others argue that such discussions are being exaggerated far beyond the available evidence. Without verified palace confirmation, neither conclusion can be treated as fact. Nevertheless, the debate itself has become increasingly significant because it reflects the public's growing curiosity about how the monarchy may evolve during the coming decades. Interestingly, many royal analysts believe this conversation cannot be understood without considering Princess Anne's remarkable influence inside the family. Anne has never been known for dramatic speeches or public campaigns. Her authority comes from something much quieter. Decades of uninterrupted service. She has earned respect by placing duty above publicity, completing hundreds of official engagements each year while rarely becoming the focus of media attention. That reputation has caused many commentators to believe her private opinions could carry exceptional weight whenever discussions about the monarchy's future arise. Again, there is no official confirmation describing any private conversations between Princess Anne and Prince William concerning these recent reports. Yet experienced royal correspondents frequently describe Anne as someone whose practical judgment commands enormous respect within palace circles. She understands the demands of royal life better than almost anyone. She has witnessed the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the transition to King Charles, and now the steady preparation of Prince William for the responsibilities that lie ahead. Because of that experience, observers naturally wonder whether her outlook on institutional stability aligns with William's apparent emphasis on a disciplined and carefully structured monarchy. What makes these reports even more intriguing is that neither William nor Anne has publicly encouraged speculation. Their silence has allowed countless theories to develop without direct confirmation or denial. For some observers, that silence simply reflects the royal family's long-standing practice of avoiding responses to every circulating rumour. Others believe it demonstrates confidence that official work should speak louder than unofficial commentary. Either way, every week that passes without clarification encourages even closer examination of palace appearances, official schedules, and carefully worded communications. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla continues fulfilling her own public duties alongside King Charles, attending charitable events and representing the crown at major engagements. Officially, nothing suggests a breakdown in constitutional responsibilities. Public appearances remain carefully organised and palace business continues as expected. Yet outside those formal events, discussion surrounding the future balance of influence within the royal family continues growing. Supporters of William argue that preparation for the next generation naturally requires difficult conversations about roles and priorities. Others caution against reading too much into speculation before verified information becomes available. Perhaps the most revealing aspect of the entire situation is how differently experienced royal commentators interpret exactly the same developments. Some describe William's reported approach as responsible long-term planning designed to strengthen public confidence in the monarchy. Others argue that every generation inevitably faces resistance whenever institutional change begins taking shape. Neither interpretation has been confirmed by official palace sources, but both highlight the enormous public interest surrounding the future direction of the crown. And then another question quietly began circulating among royal insiders and commentators alike. If discussions about the monarchy's future are already taking place behind palace doors, who else has been involved in those conversations? And could King Charles himself already be considering decisions that have yet to be revealed to the public? As the speculation continued, attention gradually shifted toward the one person whose decision would ultimately matter more than anyone else's, King Charles. Every constitutional responsibility within the modern monarchy still flows through the reigning sovereign. No matter how influential Prince William may become as Prince of Wales, and no matter how respected Princess Anne remains within the family, the authority to approve major institutional changes continues to rest with the King. That reality has led many royal commentators to ask a different question altogether. If discussions about future responsibilities are truly taking place, is Charles quietly encouraging them, or is he simply allowing preparations for the future to unfold naturally? Once again, no official statement has answered that question, leaving royal observers to analyse every appearance and every carefully chosen palace announcement. One detail that has attracted particular attention is the increasing emphasis on continuity. Throughout recent public engagements, senior members of the royal family have repeatedly highlighted service, stability, and long-term responsibility rather than personal recognition. Constitutional historians often point out that these themes become especially important whenever a monarchy prepares for generational transition. They are designed to reassure the public that while individual personalities may change over time, the institution itself remains steady. Many analysts believe William has embraced that philosophy more visibly than ever before, carefully presenting himself not as someone seeking immediate change, but as someone preparing for responsibilities that will inevitably arrive. Within that broader discussion, reports involving Queen Camilla's grandson have continued circulating across television panels, newspapers, and social media. Some online commentators have portrayed the situation as evidence of an internal struggle over influence. Others have dismissed those claims entirely, arguing that there is no verified information showing any formal action against members of Camilla's family. The distinction is important. Public commentary can raise interesting questions, but it cannot replace official confirmation. Responsible royal reporting requires separating speculation from established fact, especially when conversations involve private family relationships that the palace has not publicly addressed. Even so, experienced royal experts have observed something that extends beyond any single rumour. They note that Prince William has consistently demonstrated a preference for clearly defined constitutional roles. Whether representing the Crown overseas, supporting environmental initiatives, or leading major charitable projects, he has often emphasised purpose over publicity. That consistent approach has encouraged many commentators to believe that, when the time comes for future decisions, William may prioritise institutional clarity above personal considerations. If that proves true, it would not necessarily represent conflict with any individual. Instead, it would reflect a broader commitment to preserving public confidence in the monarchy through well-defined responsibilities. Princess Anne's name continues appearing alongside these discussions for a similar reason. She has spent decades quietly demonstrating what many royal historians describe as the purest example of public service within the family. Unlike more headline-driven members of the monarchy, Anne's reputation has been built through consistency rather than visibility. Her work ethic, discipline, and reluctance to engage in public controversy have earned admiration from commentators across very different perspectives. Because of that reputation, many believe that if William seeks advice about balancing tradition with modernisation, Anne would naturally be one of the most respected voices available to him. Still, it must be emphasised that there has been no official confirmation describing any private conversations or approvals regarding the current speculation. Meanwhile, public interest has only intensified because of the unusual silence surrounding the entire discussion. Buckingham Palace has neither confirmed nor directly addressed many of the theories circulating online. Kensington Palace has similarly remained focused on announcing official engagements rather than responding to speculation. That communication strategy follows a familiar royal pattern. Historically, the palace rarely comments on every developing rumour, preferring to let official events and formal announcements speak for themselves. Yet in today's digital age, silence often creates even greater curiosity. Every gap in information is quickly filled with competing interpretations, making it increasingly difficult for the public to distinguish between informed analysis and unsupported claims. Royal commentators have also begun examining another possibility. They suggest that the most significant changes inside the monarchy rarely arrive with dramatic announcements. Instead, they often emerge gradually through evolving responsibilities, carefully planned public appearances, and subtle shifts in institutional priorities. Looking back through modern royal history, many important transitions became visible only after observers connected a series of seemingly unrelated developments. That historical perspective has encouraged some analysts to study William's recent role with even greater attention, wondering whether the current period represents another gradual evolution rather than one dramatic turning point. Supporters of this interpretation point toward William's expanding leadership on major national issues, Catherine's growing public responsibilities, and Princess Anne's continued role as one of the monarchy's most dependable figures. Together, they argue, these developments suggest a family increasingly focused on preparing the next generation while maintaining stability under King Charles. Critics, however, urge caution, reminding audiences that speculation should never be confused with constitutional reality until official announcements provide clear evidence. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery surrounding this entire story. The public has seen the growing responsibilities, the commentators have offered their interpretations, the speculation continues to dominate conversations among royal watchers around the world. Yet one crucial piece remains missing. If important discussions about the monarchy's future are truly taking place behind palace walls, then when the next official announcement finally arrives, will it confirm the theories everyone has been debating, or will it reveal an entirely different direction that almost no one saw coming? In the end, the discussion surrounding Prince William, Queen Camilla's family, and Princess Anne says as much about public expectations as it does about the royal family itself. Every generation of the monarchy eventually reaches a moment when people begin asking not only who will lead next, but how that leadership will look. Those questions are growing louder today because the institution stands at an important point in its modern history. King Charles continues carrying out his constitutional responsibilities, yet Prince William is increasingly viewed as the figure who will eventually guide the monarchy into an entirely new era. Naturally, every decision connected to him now receives extraordinary attention, whether officially confirmed or simply discussed by royal commentators. That explains why so many headlines have focused on reports suggesting William could be taking a firmer approach toward defining future royal responsibilities. While some online discussions have described those reports as evidence of dramatic action involving Queen Camilla's grandson, no official palace announcement has confirmed that characterisation. What has been confirmed through public appearances is William's steadily expanding role within the institution. His growing presence at national ceremonies, international engagements and charitable initiatives reflects the responsibilities expected of the heir to the throne. Beyond those observable facts, however, many of the more dramatic claims remain matters of public speculation rather than verified palace decisions. Royal historians often remind audiences that the monarchy has survived for centuries because it evolves gradually rather than suddenly. Significant constitutional changes are rarely introduced through emotional public confrontations. More often, they emerge through careful planning, quiet consultation and deliberate preparation extending over many years. If Prince William is indeed helping shape the long-term direction of the institution, many experts believe that process would almost certainly happen through established constitutional channels, rather than dramatic personal disputes. That perspective offers an important reminder amid the excitement surrounding recent commentary. Public fascination may focus on individual personalities, but the monarchy itself traditionally places institutional continuity above momentary controversy. Princess Anne's continued popularity reinforces that same principle. Throughout decades of public service, she has consistently demonstrated that respect inside the royal family is earned through dedication rather than publicity. Whether or not she has privately supported William's reported vision remains entirely unconfirmed. Nevertheless, commentators frequently point to the similarities in their public approach. Both are widely associated with discipline, consistency, and an emphasis on duty over personal attention. Those shared qualities have encouraged many observers to believe that Anne's experience could naturally influence future conversations about the monarchy's direction, even if those conversations remain completely private. At the same time, Catherine, Princess of Wales, continues strengthening her own position through a growing portfolio of public responsibilities. Her work across mental health, early childhood development and community initiatives has generated strong public support both within the United Kingdom and internationally. Many royal experts believe her increasing prominence reflects careful long-term preparation rather than sudden change. Together, William and Catherine are often presented as representing continuity between the present reign and the next generation of royal leadership. That perception alone has fueled ongoing speculation about how future responsibilities may eventually be distributed among senior members of the family. King Charles, meanwhile, remains central to every discussion about the monarchy's future. As the reigning sovereign, He alone possesses the constitutional authority guiding official royal business today. Every engagement, every appointment, and every formal announcement ultimately reflects that reality. Although commentators continue debating William's future influence, experienced constitutional experts consistently emphasise that any significant institutional developments would proceed within the framework established by the King. Until official announcements indicate otherwise, reports suggesting major internal decisions should be approached with appropriate caution. Perhaps the most fascinating lesson from this entire story is how modern royal coverage has changed. In previous generations, speculation remained largely confined to newspaper columns and television discussions. Today, every photograph, every public appearance, every seating arrangement, and every carefully chosen sentence released by Palace Communications is instantly examined by millions of people around the world. Social media allows theories to spread within minutes, while royal commentators offer competing interpretations before official information has even been released. That environment makes it more important than ever to distinguish between verified developments and public discussion. Curiosity is natural, but responsible analysis requires patience until confirmed information becomes available. What can be said with confidence is that the coming months are likely to remain significant for the royal family. Prince William's responsibilities continue expanding. Catherine's public role continues growing. Princess Anne remains one of the institution's most respected figures. King Charles continues guiding the monarchy during an important period of transition. Those observable realities alone ensure that every future palace announcement will receive extraordinary attention from royal watchers across the world. Whether recent speculation ultimately proves accurate or not, it has highlighted one undeniable truth. Millions of people remain deeply invested in the future of the British monarchy and the individuals who will eventually shape its next chapter. For now, the palace has confirmed no dramatic action involving Queen Camilla's grandson, nor has it announced the sweeping changes described in many online discussions. Until verified information is released, those reports should continue to be viewed as speculation rather than established fact. Still, history has shown that some of the monarchy's most important moments arrive without warning. A single official statement, an unexpected engagement, or one carefully worded palace announcement can instantly reshape public understanding of events that had previously existed only as rumour. And perhaps that is why royal watchers continue paying such close attention. Somewhere behind the palace gates, preparations for the future are always unfolding. The public may not see every conversation as it happens, but when the next official announcement finally comes, it may answer questions that have been quietly building for months, and perhaps raise entirely new ones that no one is expecting.